A big, slightly tech.
Oh, I'm
Are
not
we
exactly
live?
sure. There's
Are we
some
there?
bug. Good evening. Hello, how are we?
Wrong show.
Wrong show. How are you guys? Hope everyone is well. It is Black Week.
Oh,
We
it's
are.
exciting.
I don't know about you, but I am pretty excited.
Well, actually, considering I have been with you for 17 years now this year,
Yeah,
and I would say I've been to maybe about 15 Blackwoods.
yeah, something
This
like
is
that.
the
I
first
don't
one
know.
I get to ride.
The first one, you're
The
right.
very first one I get to ride. So yes, very excited.
It's going to be awesome week. I had a chat with Frank Patane yesterday, and he was saying that there's a heap of people going down on Thursday. So I believe the Austins and the Coxes and quite a few. We're going down as well on Thursday,
yes.
just so we're prepped and organised and ready.
Just beat the traffic with that massive trailer we now
Yeah.
have.
Just to beat the traffic down. The car, we're convoying down caravans and trailers and everything else. So it's going to be really cool. We got quite a few newbies coming along to their first Blackwood this year. I believe Gary Connell, it's your first. Jess, it's your first. Karen and Paul,
Yeah.
first, and Jackson and Louis. This will be Audrey's first proper go at actual black plate, which
Yes.
I'm really excited about.
Yes.
It's going to be cool. I think she's excited too.
Nah. She'll say she's nervous.
Yeah, she'll say it. Burgick and Seb as well. You guys will be having your first crack at the Blackwood and probably first, which is a big thing to bite off, really. But
A good welcome into the...
welcome into it.
I wonder if it'll be like a Pinjarra trial last year. It's all right to cry.
It's totally fine.
We all do it.
We all
Or
do
maybe
it.
it's just me.
It's not that bad. It's all good fun. Really, we are really looking forward to this. The Blackwood is a 2-day event that we have here in Perth. For those of you who are not in Perth, good event. It's down in Kirrup. It's down in the green rolling hills, and it's just magnificent.
Definitely will be green this year.
It certainly will, and hopefully we get plenty of rain. No, not everyone's wanting that.
No,
but
well, Thursday and Friday, they're still... not Thursday, I think it's rain. So we rain jackets in stock. We're still waiting for them to come. I have tried to do a search. I'm going to come up with is grabbing some, just the cheap $4.
stop looking at yourself.
I know, it's just so hard! But I will try and get some ponchos or something, so in case try and keep
A little bit dry. Keep a little bit of the water off you.
yeah, just so you to get into clothing the next morning, because it's 4 degrees on the Monday.
4 degrees.
Ooh, yeah, it's a cold.
You generally get it one. It's going to be cold. You
It's
get
cold.
clear skies and warm days, cold nights. You generally don't get the rain. If it's going to rain, normally you'll get too cold. You've got a bit of cloud cover. It'll be a little warmer and more comfortable. So, last weekend we had the AJS ran the kids OSSET day. It was an absolutely awesome day.
Epic. It really
good
was.
fun.
And I think the rain gods were actually lovely for us, because the rain stayed away during the day for the event. Not that they really cared, because the kids had all the muddy puddles from the night before.
Oh, they were
The
just
mud.
drowned. There was so much mud, and mind you, actually there wasn't a lot. It's just that's the. It was a great weekend, and we're really looking forward to the next OSSET day, which is
17th of October.
17th of October. So it's a while away yet, but so this weekend, Blackwood, it will be signposted from the highway from the Kirrup Tavern, and you then head down Upper Capel Road. Down Upper Capel Road. We camp in the farmer's paddock.
And you'll be
At
able
the
to
shearing
see
shed?
that as you approach down the hill on the run down.
Yes.
You'll see the paddock with all of us in there.
If you're coming down on the Saturday, you might see some signs pointing you into the bush. That is not the camping grounds. That's actually going to be the entry point where you will drive in on the day of the trial. So continue past those until you'll see the camping area on your left-hand side down once you get into the farming paddocks. Once you've come through the forest, you'll come out on the other side and there'll be farming paddocks there, and we're all camped up on the left.
Yeah, pretty much past Neil's favourite right in the and then you'll be able to see the campsite
where everyone's
straight
camped
ahead.
up.
Yeah.
So, and each day we drive up, the trailer there, all the gear will be in the car park on the Friday and the Saturday. So if you're having a ride on Saturday, having a practice, all you take it up to the actual trial every day. So each day of the trial, the 2 days. So cool. I'm pretty sure that's all of it. Yeah, that's all good. So today we are going to talk about gloves and grips.
Ooh,
now it's
a grippy situation.
Yeah, it's something we don't really actually about a great deal, but there's a number of tips that really help big time in your riding and being more comfortable and just setting yourself up better. I mean, what's more important than how you hold onto the handlebars, apart from maybe the foot pegs? There's other
important factors,
points or control points that matter quite so much. So we've got a range of grips here and a range of gloves and some tips and ideas, things that we put in place. A lot of this stuff it's not a hard and fast rule. There is so many variations around what people do like and what they don't like. We're not saying anything that we say here is the way to do it. It literally comes down to what your preference is. It's personal preference, isn't it? Completely. And
I like it a little bit padded on the top of the hand, so at least if you're going to get squished, it's not as
bad. Yeah, so there's a whole wide range of variations. So first of all, the first thing I wanted to chat about was gloves. Your hands on the grips. We'll see traditionally, it's probably not the word, but trials gloves as a general, gloves that we would consider trials gloves, they have a lycra back on them. They are very stretchy. They will be a tighter fit than what you would get for a standard sort of motocross glove. Now, there is not a lot of padding in a trials glove. There is no padding on the palm. There's a very thin sort of suede. The backings and the sides of the glove, particularly around the fingers, will be made of something that's really light and really stretchy. And the point of that being lycra on the back is so that when you're holding onto the handlebars, the lycra is not pulling back on the fingers, so it's actually saving a little bit of fatigue throughout the day. So you're not actually having to hold on quite so hard. You're not having to elastic. And like Jess had mentioned about the padding, there's actually no kind of protection on the back of the hand other than the glove itself. Now, if you're like motocross style gloves, or for example, the cleats gloves, they are heavier on the back and they've actually got a bit of silicone on the back of the hand, absorption and whatnot. But a true, what we would call, doesn't have any of that at all. One of the other big points is that there is no silicone on the index fingers. So when you're riding, your fingers can slide over the clutch or the front brake really nicely without grabbing or biting, whilst that lever slides out on your finger at any point in time.
Nice.
So there's some, you can get really light duty, you can go to heavier sort of duty gloves like the Cleese gloves. The Hebo gloves that I ride with are very much like the Jitsi glove. They're light and quite stretchy.
Feels like a bit of a thicker lycra.
It is a little bit on those ones, slightly heavier.
Because these ones.
One of the major differences between gloves out there is some have the Velcro and some don't. Now, some brands, it's more, I think, the Velcro was always around for a long time. People always used, all gloves came with some sort of, recently it became a little more popular to go back to not having Velcro. I think it was more of a fashion thing than anything. But one of the things that we really like about having the Velcro is, these are XXL, they'll fit my hand. I'll just use mine. When you have the Velcro gloves and you put your glove on, one of the issues that sometimes happens is with your lanyard, and not so much these elastic style. I don't like these elastic ones. We actually really like the solid, hard, firm ones that don't stretch at all.
And whack you in the face.
And don't whack you, because these things become an absolute missile and will hit you in the face. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know why they still keep pumping them out like this, but we are getting some solid ones made, so hopefully them soon. But you have your lanyard on. Quite often what happens is, if I'm in or out of shot, the lanyard can slip around your wrist like this, and sometimes it'll fold over to this side. The pinch point will sit on that side, and when you move your arm out, it actually shortens your lanyard dramatically, and it can pop it off and you end up with a stall. So one of the things we do is we open the Velcro of the grip up, slide the lanyard down into your glove, and then
close it up,
and then it's on the inside of your hand, and it can't slide around on your grip, and it can't shorten that lanyard for you. So you can, if you have a fixed one, you'll notice they are fairly short, and you can have it really close to your hand. The moment your hand does actually come off the bars, it will pop, not just when it's slid around and kind of choked itself back on it.
And it also will stay on your hand.
Yes.
So if it does fling off when you have hand and then
you lose
it and things like that, it'll always stay
One of the
connected.
best things about doing it like this as well is that the section lanyard with you. If I'm going to catch, what I do is I just tuck it in on the back of my glove. If I'm talking to someone, I'll tuck it in there, and it'll just sit on the back of my... doesn't get caught. Things is that when you're walking the section, this is with you the whole time, and your friends can't take your lanyard off and stick it somewhere else on your bike. And then you come back and you kick, and can't start. So it makes it easy to do that, and honest to God, I think it saved me probably 7 or 8 fights in my lifetime of riding. It's only a couple, but it really does matter. They do add up. So that's the gloves there. There's a couple of other points of Velcro or not. Some people find and I think it's totally anecdotal, but a number of people will find that they like to learn the Velcro and like a looser glove around the wrist. Some of them feel that it kind of restricts circulation in some way, shape or form. If you loosen your gloves off,
Never heard that.
I personally think it's purely placebo. I don't think it has any effect, but if the placebo works, keep doing it. Some people I know prefer having the open glove, not Velcro, for that reason, if they have any problems with circulation or cramp. Whether or not that actually does have an effect, I don't know, but if it does, well, so what? If you feel it does, great, awesome, roll with it. And the other point is that when you're buying gloves, if you do go for a heavier, more protected glove, if you go for something like a motocross glove with the grips on the back, try to find ones that will really. Some of them will have like cuts in the padding and will have Velcro in the knuckles to allow you to actually bend your knuckles a bit more and get some stretch. But one thing to watch out for, some people do like it. I personally think it's a negative, is some of the gloves come out with padding on the palms, and sometimes these come from something like desert racing or whatnot, where you're adventure bike riding, where you're riding long distances and it's not really about performance as such. Sometimes they're work gloves that people are using for riding, and they have a lot of padding on the palms. If you need the padding reason, by all means go for it. But I find padding just adds a lot of movement into the handlebar and onto the grip, and you then end up working harder to try and hold on tighter. And I find that people fatigue quicker with padded gloves than they do without. You don't feel as solid and confirmed and strong on the handlebars. That little bit of movement ends up getting you kind of holding tighter and trying to squeeze a bit tighter on the bars. So just a thought to watch.
The other good tip, which my darling husband never told me about until I rode in freezing cold rain at Crossman's last year, and he very, very smugly at lunch got back on the bike and he was putting on nice clean, warm, dry,
Fresh, dry gloves.
dry gloves. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he's like, you always have 2 pairs of gloves. I'm like, well, then why do I only have 1 pair? Because you never told me this. But I got with having a clean, dry gloves to go back riding out with. So, you know, it's always handy. And you always get stray gloves. They're like socks. Washing machines.
They are worse than socks, I think.
To eat them.
Because they stick to everything else in the wash. And
yeah,
they
well, I
disappear.
normally stick them together, but they still do come apart. Have of gloves.
It's actually one of my personal pet hates is I always try to keep my gloves and my grips as dry as possible through a trial. When they do get wet, it's not such a big deal, but when they do get muddy, when you get underside of your mudguard to lift the back and you end up mud on your grips, or you fall over and you put your palm on the ground, and once you kind of get that layer of mud, it just goes everywhere, and I personally hate it on the bars. It's not something I don't think it actually has that much effect on my riding, but it's something. So I try to keep my gloves as clean as I can. It's also a good thing to, when you're working on your bike, don't actually work on your bike with your gloves on when you can avoid it, because you do get the oils and stuff on your palms, which then end up on your grips. And the other point that I wanted to make is that you don't have to go and buy expensive gloves. You don't necessarily have to buy trial-specific gloves. A lot of people find something that works for them, either from work or Bunnings or whatever. You might have a different set of gloves floating around.
Can I go get like a pair of like pink rubber gloves?
Oh, you certainly could.
Might need those for this weekend.
Something that people do in some places where it's really cold and wet and whatnot is they'll sometimes put what do you call them? Surgical gloves. What are the latex gloves on first, and then put their gloves over top to protect from the wind and things like that. But here in Australia, we don't really have those problems.
Oh, we might have those problems on the weekend on Monday.
You might do. I think it's going to be in the morning. Once we get riding, it's going to be fine. But you can get neoprene gloves.
We did have some in stock, but I think
Jitsi and Cleese were at one point doing a neoprene, like a wetsuit style glove, which is kind of like a jet ski focused thing. And for really wet, really cold conditions, I think they would be all right. But they're adding an extra layer of thickness between your hand and the grip. And they tend to have quite a lot of resistance in them, kind of trying to hand up on you. So you end up holding onto the bars tighter, and you'll probably fatigue a little bit quicker. So that's pretty much all the points on gloves to watch out for and to check. One last. When you do get gloves, make sure that they do fit right. If they don't fit right, don't grab them. Find something else that does fit correctly. The fit is more important than the look. And the reason I gloves, for example, Fox, I don't know whether it was Rangers, sometimes their thumbs are actually quite small. And when I would wear them, my thumb felt like it was like this, and I couldn't take my thumb out, and I couldn't open up my hand to get onto the actual grip properly and hold onto the bars. It was always like my thumb was restricted. So make sure that you get gloves that fit nicely. You also don't want them, if you're riding trials, you want them to be, don't want them to, and your hand to be moving around in the grip too much, particularly once it gets wet, because they all stretch a little bit anyway with that. So yeah, I think that's all of it.
I think so.
That's about all for gloves.
Yep.
If you have any questions, by all means jump on.
Well, Wes has he's said that he really loves the Hebo gear, and finds it hard to find it in Australia.
We getting Hebo at some point. I'm not sure where that's going at the moment, because they are tied in with gas and there's a lot of change happening there. But we will be getting the Hebo gear in the future, and I'm really looking forward to getting that, because the gas gear that I'm wearing at the moment is all Hebo, and it's really nice gear. It fits quite glove. I really like the gloves myself. I used to love the exciting gear, Unfortunately, they went bust, I believe, and their Lycra gloves that they had were absolutely magnificent. So ones look like they're going to be a good alternative. The Jitsi ones are great as well. They're a really nice glove and everything else. So, but yeah, that's about all.
Wow.
So
let's
grips.
get on to the situation.
Can you grip? So, okay, first up, the first thing that comes up is grips come in a range of some of the brands. Now, Renthal do soft, medium, and hard. And the hard grips, basically the darker they are, the harder they are. Now, Ariat, S3, Hebo, all do different types of grips. Some different compounds, some don't. Personally, my personal preference is the soft grips.
Oh, why is that?
Why?
Are they too soft?
They're too soft. My personal preference is some people absolutely love the soft grips. I'm not a fan for a few reasons. One is they feel like they move on the handlebar too much, and again, I feel like I just don't have a hold of the bars. It feels like there's this movement there that's not needed. Secondly, they do stretch more, so you need to have to glue them, tie wire them, or something like that to hold them onto the bar. That said, S3 do these grips, which are, I'm not sure if you can see there, but they actually are a clamp-on grip, like you get with push bikes and mountain bikes these days. And they slide straight on, and there's an Allen bolt that clamps them onto the end of the handlebars. Now, I've fitted a few of these. I've never actually ridden with them. Where's the?
It's very firm.
And they are. Which one's that? That's the throttle tube, because it's hard to go over the throttle tube and not crush it. They hold on really, really well, and it stops you needing to glue or wire tie them on. I'm not sure if they do these in a different compound. I think they're only the one compound. But there may be other brands out there that do a soft compound that has the grip. In case you're not going to get quite so much movement in the bars. The Renthal ones and the soft ones are meant to be glued onto the bars, I believe. I'm pretty sure that Renthal actually make a grip glue. I used to grips that came on whatever bike because they were always kind of a firmer grip, and I found they lasted longer. They were more durable. They could take more hits. Personally, not putting bar ends into my bike. I've always preferred to have a straight end of the grip, and I used to glue the bars, and I found that really good. It was really resilient, and used to bounce quite a bit. It was also because I purposed and add an extra length in there, so it was a really good grip on the left-hand side. So it would glue it on. But if you're someone who likes bar ends, which I should say you should get them because we sell them, but it doesn't. These ones, the version, and if I get that right, that's it there. You can see they've already cut out the end. So if you're someone who puts bar ends onto your bike, the cutting the end out is one of the pains in the bar end, and it's really difficult to cut it nice and clean, whereas Renthal do the pre-punched ends. These are the road race grip. We stock them both with solid and the road race and so we do both types. To secure the grips down, like I said, you can clamp on varieties of like the S3 and that. You will find with a firmer compound grip, quite often you secure them on. What you do is if you've got a punched end, you cover the end. If you have a solid end, you don't have to. We spray contact cleaner in them, and you slosh it around, push it on really fast, put it on nice and quick. Once the electrical contact cleaner has slid the grip on, it'll dry up, it'll evaporate off, and the grip, you'll have 10 minutes, but after about 10 minutes, it'll be pretty solid and firm on there. You can also put them on with air compressors. I don't necessarily recommend that. Just from the safety perspective, using compressed air, and also if you slip, you can really expand your grip and stretch it too much, and sometimes can get a bit deformed. The other ways to secure them is you can use grip glue, like I mentioned. You don't need to buy. I think Renthal actually make a grip glue for hand grip. It's just contact adhesive. You can just go down to Bunnings and buy it for a lot cheaper at Bunnings. The contact adhesive will do the same job.
Then what's it like getting it off?
You just cut them off.
Oh.
Generally, you're not taking, particularly the left side grip, you're not taking it off until it's damaged and destroyed. So it's pretty rare that you need to take a grip off for any reason. Some of the kids' bikes that have clamp-on levers that don't have a hinge on them, and you need to take the grip off to take the master cylinder off their bike, or the lever point, whatever you would call that on a cable brake. So sometimes you'll have to take a grip off in those circumstances, but any of the adults, enduro or trials bikes, all of the fittings should either hinge or completely clamp onto the handlebars and won't need you to take the grips off. So generally you don't take them off until you have to cut them off. The contact adhesive, if you're going to do that, you don't buy the spray on. Put it on the and on the handlebars and then push it on and then make sure you clean off the excess. It's a pretty messy use and go that way. Some people use petrol to do it. It takes a little bit longer for the rubber then to kind of cure back and to get a grip. The other thing is, if you're running a two-stroke, there's a good chance you've got oil in your fuel. So when you put it on, the oil might remain underneath it and it may never actually cure up. So you're better to use something that, petrol that's hasn't been mixed, straight fuel. Thank you for making sense of my delirious state.
Oh look, I'm actually trying to stay awake.
It's like that, isn't it?
After last night's finish at 1 o'clock.
After a very late night. So
for that one.
Yeah, that's it. He's swinging around at the Fink at the moment. He's probably stopped on the side of the road drinking wine somewhere with.
No, they're still driving during the day. I'd say the wine would happen at night.
At night?
During the day. We shouldn't endorse drink driving during the day.
Yeah, that is true. They got to Norseman. I believe they weren't too far away. I think they're going to take about 3 days to get.
Yeah, they were having a meander where Paul was going direct.
Paul's going through the central road. So yeah, that's the ways to secure it. You can use the contact adhesive or glues, and you can use wire or get the clamp-on variety. The other thing is bar ends significantly affect what ends up happening with your grip. At the end of the day, the worst thing that can occur is your grips can start turning on the bars. You absolutely don't want that. I've always been a fan of not running bar ends because when you cut the end of the grip open, it allows something, dirt, water to get in there and to start affecting the grip and slipping on the end of the bars. This end has the big flange. So generally this end of the grip is going to be fitting tighter on the handlebars anyway. This end doesn't have as much integrity, so it can stretch out. And when you cut the end of the grip, you take away quality. And I've always found that you end up getting more moisture and dirt in there. And I find it's kind of proportionate to running bar ends. People will run bar ends so you don't damage the end of the grip. But because you've already cut it, stuff can ingress in there. And I find it's kind of 50-50. If you run bar ends, stuff can get in there. If you don't run bar ends, you damage your grip and you'll have to replace them. Either way, you end up in a situation where you have to replace them. So it's kind of 6 or half a dozen, to be honest. S3 now does a bar end that only requires a pinhole punch through the end of your grip. And it actually clamps onto this part of your hand grip, so it stops you having to cut the end of your grip out completely, which reduces reduces the chance of stuff getting in there dramatically. So that is a really cool idea. Gold, actually, to be honest, I've not seen any gold coloured ones.
Might have to get some.
They do a heap of other colours, but
you know what I'm actually thinking? I think I should have just gone and got some gold chain and. Goldie. I'm sure that's
You're loving that gold, aren't you? So